What's up, everybody? What's the difference between the 8-hour chart and the 8-day chart? I'm going to explain. We are so used to looking at this chart, right? And we're so used to counting the waves, but we're going to do something different. We're going to use candlestick analysis. But in order to do that, we need a little bit of a higher time frame. So instead of the 8-hour chart, we're going to look at the 8-day chart. And I'm going to explain to you why I think it's extremely bullish. So before I do that, just real quick, a lot of people are looking at this chart as a head and shoulders. And it's true, you can see the head and shoulders there, but I tend to disagree that this head and shoulders is actually a real head and shoulders and we're going to crash. The reason why I don't think it's a head and shoulders is because I think it's a flat. A flat is sort of an experienced way to look at a chart. Head and shoulders is sort of an inexperienced way, but there's a lot of head and shoulders out there and they do play out very, very well. I just don't think this one qualifies completely, and I'll explain in just a moment. But essentially, I saw a video, and not only a video, but several people saying that this is a head and shoulders. So retail is convinced that this is a head and shoulders. So how, if I'm a market maker and I want to win, and the only way I can win is if you lose, then I want to make sure you lose so that I win. How do I do that? I give you the false reality that this is some type of head and shoulders, right? Because what does retail know? Head and shoulders, right? That is the most common retail sign. So this video got pretty a good amount of views in a short amount of time, and they were explaining that, and I've never really even talked about it that much, except that I don't think it is. So if it was a head and shoulders, then, which it could totally be, and I could be wrong, right? But if it is, then our measured move to the downside would be approximately, let's see here, I think that's around $1.20. $1.22 or so where. So basically kind of right in this zone. And that's totally possible. If this is a fifth wave, I could see that. Even if it's not a fifth wave. Or yeah, it has to be a fifth wave, because if this is an A, right, and this comes up in a B, and then this is a 1, 2, 1, 2, then we get 3, 4, and 5. That's the only way it would work, right? So you have a nice ABC, and then we continue higher. Again, the problem with that is when you zoom out, right, you could see that we are right at the all-time high. And usually when a chart gets back to this range after completing a monstrous task of a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off, rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation, sideways, blast off. That's a lot of structure in a chart, right? Now you compare that to something like Theta, not to pick on Theta, but basically you have, this is not the right chart, but basically you have, you have a bull market, you have a crash, and you have somewhat of a half-wit retracement. Whereas XRP has that same thing, but it has a larger retrace, and then it has a move back down, and then it goes sideways. So it created more structure within the confinements of the price range, right? So that means it's stronger, right? If you have a blanket and it's only 100 threads versus a blanket with 1,000,000 threads, it's going to be a little bit stronger, I think. So there you go. XRP. Now we're going to go to Theta in a minute. I'm going to talk about Theta as well. And Theta could also give you, in my opinion, I think it gives more percentage value than XRP can. But that doesn't mean XRP is less bullish. I think it's more bullish, but with less percentages. So the reason why I don't think this is a head and shoulders is because, does it look like a head and shoulders? No, it doesn't. What does it look like? It looks incredibly bullish, to be honest. And I've been so busy looking at the 4-hour chart. Every video we're coming on here, we're looking at the smaller time frames, right? We're looking at, because we're trying to identify the wave structure, right? But instead of working on the wave structure and counting the waves, which by the way is you got 3 down, you got 3 up, and then you got 3 back down. That's a different way of looking at it, but it's essentially a flat, right? And then you have this move up, that's a 1. You have an A, B, C down, that's a 2, right? But then it came up and then it broke the low, so we couldn't do that anymore. So we had to go back and say, okay, what else could this be? Well, it's probably you got 3 down, right? And then you got 3 up, and then you got 3 back down. So that whole thing is a 2. So you got boom, boom, boom. So that's a 3-way move right there from here to here to here. And that's a flat, right? And that's a wave 2. And this right here could be a wave 1. And now let's hope, again, today's Saturday, right? So tomorrow's going to be Sunday. And if we can survive this Sunday and Monday, because usually that's how it's been, Sunday, Monday, and a little bit of Tuesday, it's been completely just annihilation for crypto, right? This was a big bloody Sunday. This was a big bloody Sunday. This was a big bloody Sunday. I mean, is that God's way of saying, go to church, stop looking at crypto on Sundays? Okay, you're not going to do it. Bam, crush. I don't know. I don't think so, but hopefully not. No, but seriously, that's what we need to see here. We need to see this flagging out, and we need to see this getting back above, towards that $3 area. If we can get back in the $3 range, it's going to be very exciting, to put it mildly, right? So then what you can do here is, let's flip this upside down, right? Now we're looking at it upside down. You could see maybe that's a shoulder. Maybe this is a head, right? Maybe we get one more shoulder and then we come down. But instead of it being a head and shoulders, it's actually an inversed head and shoulders, getting back to this area right here and then breaking out. What's the measured move of that? And this is not even the good stuff. We're gonna do some candlestick analysis. Just hold on there. Let's see. We don't even have the head, the head yet. We don't. So it's really hard to kind of measure it, but just kind of ballparking it here, just a little bit. You can say back to the all-time high, about 330. Right? So $3.30 is the absolute all-time high, and we actually crushed it by a little bit, up to 340. But ever since then, we couldn't sustain, right? So we're used to looking at the chart in this perspective, the head and shoulders perspective, the wave counting perspective, right? And then we went as far as, okay, let's look at it without the wicks. We've looked at it without the wicks. It completely changes the chart. It looks absolutely gorgeous. It looks way better, in my opinion, even though that wick was also bullish. But anyways, we have a gorgeous 3-way move to the downside, right? So we have 3 down, you could say 3 up, and then you could say 3 back down, right? And now we have this impulse to the upside, that's a 1, and then you have a 3-way pullback, that's a 2, right? So now we're in the beginnings of a wave 3. And then in wave 3, you need 5 waves. So maybe this is the beginning of the first, or this is the first of a 5-wave move. So you get 1, 2, maybe. And short term, I'm a little bit bearish, and I'll explain why. Because I think we're going to have to come all the way back down to the low to create the wave 2. And then we're going to have to come up to a wave 3, 4, and 5. Or maybe 4 is over here. We flag out at the top, then get 5. So we got a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, flag out for a 4, then go get 5. That's kind of what I'm thinking here. Now, this is all provided that the stock market doesn't continue to crash. The tariff narrative doesn't continue to get out of hand, because I believe that the tariffs are not the reason why the markets are coming down. It's the fake news blowing it out of context. Remember, I don't think people, even the Bitcoin bros, even the crypto guys, they're saying, "Oh, Trump's doing this." No, 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 no. Do you not remember he putting tariffs in his last term? We didn't have no craziness back then. That's because the narrative is different this time, right? They didn't have the ammunition back then, because we were still coming off of a big bubble, right? We had low interest rates, we had low unemployment, so they couldn't use the recession card. But now, since we had 4 years of Joe Biden and 4 years of inflation and devastation, we've been in a recession, but they really don't want to broadcast that. But now Trump is in office. Now he's putting his tariffs in place to get money back into our building up our reserves, right? In the government, basically a cash position because we're so much in debt. Now they're using this as a scare tactic, for recession and for stock market crashing or whatever. So this is them using ammunition. The stock market is not crashing because Trump's tariffs. They're crashing because people are sort of uncertain about what's going on, because the fake news is giving this illusion that we're in some sort of catastrophic failure. But we are actually, but not because of that, but because of what's happened in the past. The world is a big thing, right? You got the big planet Earth, right? And there's so much going on in here, so much, right? So you're telling me Trump is in office for 2 months, and that's enough to, no, it takes a lot longer, right? So we've just had 4 years of Joe Biden, right? And we just had 2 or 3 months of Trump. So things take a long time to start to move along. So is it going to get worse? That's the big question. If this was a normal environment, I would be even more bullish, right? But the reason I'm bullish is because Theta is just about fully crashed, I think. I think we're really close for it to be finished. And the stock market is also crashing. But look at XRP. XRP is still ranging. So for an asset to not participate in the free fall that the rest of the altcoins did, even the big stock market, the S&P 500, the granddaddy stock market, is collapsing. Meanwhile, XRP is holding. Now, explain that to me. That shows tremendous strength. Now, imagine just for a second, right? Because you have XRP ranging, right? And this is not even the good stuff. I'm going to get to the good stuff later. But you have XRP ranging in here. You have the stock market coming down. You have altcoins like Theta just completely collapsing. You have, which by the way is bullish because it's completing an ABC, and I'll explain that later. But you also have, equities coming down, just, everything, right? The Dow, the Russell, everything's just falling. Bitcoin, right? So you have all of these things falling, and we'll just use one or two for example, right? So, but XRP is ranging. Okay, we know that already. But what happens once we start chilling here for a little bit? Once we start leveling off, because crashes don't just crash, crash, crash. I mean, they can, but you need retracements. You need a bounce for it to continue down, right? Some call it maybe a dead cat bounce. So what happens when the stock market starts to go up in a retracement? What happens when Bitcoin starts to go up in a retracement, right? And if XRP is not participating in this crash, will XRP participate or react to Bitcoin starting a retrace or the S&P starting a retrace, right? Because if the S&P is down here and then it starts to make a retrace, what do you think's going to happen with the price of XRP? If all this downward pressure is not pushing the price below its range, then what do you think is going to happen once we start retracing. You're probably going to get a big breakout. That's what's probably most likely, in my opinion, will happen. So the only way that wouldn't happen is if, because let's look at the stock market here. And I thought I would get to the good stuff within the first 5 minutes of this video, but it's gonna have to wait because we're gonna do something we've never done. We're gonna look at the candlestick analysis, and I think you're really gonna appreciate that. I think it's really, really cool. But essentially, let's look at SPX here. Okay, we got the SPX. Okay, so there's your big dump. And let's see if we can make it. Do you guys like it side by side? Or do you like it like this? I mean, what do you think? So, okay, I'll just do it like this for now. So, XRP did have a little bit of a pullback here, but this was a complete, like you could see, okay, here's the range right here, right? And then we fell below the range. And this is the 4-day chart, and this is the 8-hour chart. So let's go to the 4-day chart. And we'll put the wicks back on. There we go. Okay, so look at the difference, guys. This is a fall. This is flagging out, right? This is oscillating bullishly. This is free falling. All right. So this is a pretty big dump. We had what, 4, 8, 12, 16 days of basically 2 weeks of going down, 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 down. So eventually you're going to get a bounce to the upside. So we could see a big A, B, C, right? Or maybe A isn't finished. We have something a little bit further down. Then we get a B, then we get a C. Something like that. But what I'm saying is once we get that retrace, that B wave, I think that's when XRP is going to break out on the retrace. So there you go. All right, let's go back here. So let's look at some candlestick analysis. So each candle basically tells you a story. Really, you can see this candle in particular right here. If I could find my arrow right here, you could see how the price came down and it created that doji, and then the price started coming back up, right? Same thing here. You had that doji on top, price came down. Look at this one here. This candle here and this candle here are basically the same, right? So when price comes down and you get that kind of candle, it says, hey, we're probably gonna turn back around. So we've had these are actually two very bullish candles here, more bullish than these two candles. So that's your first step, is looking at what the candles look like, right? You see this candle here and this candle here, they look pretty similar. And they're both bullish hammer candles in essence, right? They both have their long wicks on the bottom. And I like that right here. These two candles are, to me, a big signal. So this one here and this one here. So you could see how price came down, right? It's like it's going inside of a cold pool and it says, hell no, my toes are freezing. Or it's going in a hot jacuzzi and you stick your toes in there, it's way too hot, you get out, right? So the water is way too hot down here. So it's saying, no, 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 we don't want to go down. So you have these 2 points here, those 2 candles, but you also have a beautiful flag, right? So that's 1, this is 2, you have a beautiful flag. And inside that flag, it's not a big drop like this, but instead it's oscillation like this, right? That's a difference in shape, difference in structure. And to me, when you have, not to me, but usually when you flag out to the downside, you break to the upside. If you flag to the upside, you usually break to the downside. So it's just the way it is, right? So that's another reason. Another reason too is because we've been going sideways here. And this is not even the good time frame, right? Now, let's bump it up to, you got the 5-day, the 8-day chart. All right. I haven't looked at this chart. This right here is the grand finale. This is the chart that gives me a lot of hope right here. This is the 8-day chart. And essentially what we have here is something incredibly bullish just by looking at the structure of the chart, right? And what do we have? Well, let's take a look here. So, let's start right here. Obviously, we're going to get the easy stuff out of the way, which is what? Well, we have a rise. Actually, I like this. We have a rise, we have a crash, we have a retrace. We come down into reaccumulation. Look at this. This is the key right here. This is the key. This is the key. We have beautiful sideways reaccumulation. Now, you cannot see, when we've been looking at the chart, right? That's why when in doubt, zoom out. When we're looking at the chart all of these days and weeks, we're looking at it like this. It's a lot more nauseating looking at it like this, right? Because you're going up and then down and then up and then down and then up and then down and then up and then down. And it's like, okay, what the hell is it doing, you know? Versus looking at it, you know, zoomed out and just the candles by themselves. I mean, we've already discussed what that is. All right, so going back to the 8-day chart, this is where it gets exciting. So going to the 8-day chart, again, you know, you're going up and down, up and down. What the hell is it doing? Now we just simplified it, right? So basically what it's doing is it's consolidating here. But not only that, do you notice anything in particular? The first thing I notice is that you have red, green, red, green, red, green. That, my friends, is really bullish. The reason why is because you're flipping back and forth, right? Anytime you come down, so we're going down, 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 down. Then we get stopped because we don't want to go down anymore. You flip green, then red, then green, then red, then green. That is a very bullish sign that the market is potentially going to go the opposite way in which it came, right? So in this case, it was going down. So, and then also you put that flag in there. You also put that horizontal. You also can say it's reaccumulation. It just adds fuel to the fire that this thing's going to come back to the upside. Now, is it going to go into a retracement, right? And then kind of flag out and then go break out? Is it just going to break out? Is it going to go into a retrace and then come back down like an ABC, right? That's the tricky part, right? I think we're going to have a breakout. I think this correction has went on long enough. And another thing too is, you know, we're getting kind of tight in this apex here. So let's just draw that there. And then we'll come down here. I mean, you're really just kind of stuck in there. So I don't see much time left when looking at this chart. Maybe another, let's see here. This is the 8-day, so 8/16, maybe another 2 weeks at most. I think it's going to be less than that. So, but yeah, what I really wanted to point out today is the flipping of red, green, red, green, red, green, because there's examples. I'm not sure. Here's a Litecoin, for example, right? So this was very bullish down here. Very, very bullish. So you could see we were going down and down and down, and then boom, we had the wick. Same thing with XRP. We got the big wick, right? And then we flipped red, green, red, green, red, green, red, or actually two greens, right? We broke out, and then we kind of flagged out a little bit, we back tested, and then bam, we went for it, right? So this right here is a candlestick pattern right there, right? Candles, right? Plural. So, and not just, and this is also on the 8-day chart, but you could go to like to the 1 hour chart or the daily chart or whatever, and you can find them a lot. The 8-day chart, you're gonna have a hard time finding them because, you know, there's less chance of you finding it because you're on a higher time frame. Versus like the 5-minute chart, there's probably thousands of examples. But there you go. So again, when you start coming down and the price says, no, I don't want to go down anymore, it flips. So by it flipping red, green, red, green, red, green, tells me that the price is no longer interested in continuing the move down. Now, that's not always the case. For example, if you're going down and you flip red, green, you can easily just keep rolling over, right? So there's a few stipulations. Number one, do you have 5 waves? You could see here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, check. Do we have, is this part of the third wave? Look at you. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, or 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3 down, right? You got 3 up, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So all of this flipping happened at the end of a 3-wave move, right? So you have an impulse or a diag, 1, A, B, C, there's a 2, right? So there's your A, B, C, 2, and then that's when you flip. So you basically have all the checks to say it's bullish versus, I'm sure, I don't want to go on a scavenger hunt, but I'm sure there's examples out there where it's failed before. So, I mean, it happens good on the upside too. Like you're going up and then you get red, green, red, right? Then you come down. But notice you come down and then it continue a little bit higher. Or right over here is a good example. You know how you were flipping back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then bam, that's when you had the lights out, right? But if you notice, there's kind of 2 little areas here, 1 and then 2. So you're kind of like moving down. And then there's also no 3-wave shape, right? Because if this is the 3-wave shape, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, guess what? That flipping happened at the end of the first wave, right? So that's, you have to also take into account Elliott wave as well. So it's not going to be easy. There's things that have to be in place, right? So, but when I look at Litecoin and Theta and the stock market and Bitcoin and everything else, they look pretty oversold and they look like they should have a bounce coming relatively soon, right? The big question is it going to be a 4th wave bounce, or is it going to be a B wave retracement, or is it going to be a reversal? We'll see, because this could be easily 1, 2, all of this is 3, then we're getting 4, then 5, right? Or you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and this is 3, 3, 5. That's an ABC. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's your 1, and then you have a big ABC 2 without breaking the low. You had a big major retrace, but is there any indication? No, because all we have is a 3-wave move. This could easily keep coming down, or you can have 3 up, 3 down, right? And then you can have an impulse, and then you flag out, and then you break out. That's the best kind of, or that's one of the best shapes I like to see. The best shape that we like to see is maybe like a 1, 2, 1, 2, and then you get 3, 4, and 5, and then you flag out, right? That would be nice to see. But anyway, let's go back to XRP. So here's XRP, and let's go back to the 8-day chart. So now let's look at the 8-day chart. Now, if you notice, right here, actually, let me get rid of that and let's do this. So this is our range right in here. This was our base, right? And then you can see we broke out of the base. We slammed all the way down. We grabbed the liquidity that was resting below the base. There's a lot of liquidity down there, right? A lot of liquidations. So that's why I don't think we're going to continue, because we just had a major liquidation. We had the biggest liquidation going back to FTX and all that stuff. Bigger than all of that stuff combined, I think. It was massive. So I think it was sufficient enough to be finished. So this right here was the end of the crash right there. It was a big liquidation. We came down here and we essentially grabbed a lot of liquidity down here. But then look what happened. We came back up, and here's the important part. We came back up. See, I'm analyzing the chart a little bit different than most people. Most people, do it a little bit differently, but I'm kind of showing you reasons and why it's doing certain things, right? So for this example, right, we came down, we broke, grabbed the liquidity, we came back up, but then look what happened. We started consolidating above this line. So here's our bottom line right here. Just draw that across, right? So here's your first base, and here's your second base. And notice this base remember, we just had a big crash. Now this base is actually consolidating above this one over here. Now, if this was down over here, it'd be a little bit different, right? Because it would be below the base, and we were flipping red, green, red, green, red, green, right? Maybe you get a retrace and then a crash, right? Versus this looks like it's completely flagging out or consolidating above the base, certainly above the bottom of this line here, right? So let's take this, and there we go. Look at that, guys. Look at that. So this is the top of the candles right here. That's the top of the base. And you can see each candle has so far closed above the yellow, closed above, closed above, closed above, right? So, yeah, I think it looks pretty good. And then we also have one more line right there. Let's put that one right there. Let's give me a regular line. There we go. And I'll put that right there. So we're kind of stuck in between the yellow zone and the black line. And but notice how we're kind of falling too, right? It's not completely horizontal. We're kind of falling, which it makes it better, right? It makes it better because in doing so, you're creating a downward resistance line. And a downward resistance line is meant to be broken at some point, right? So let's put that line back over here. And you can kind of see we're getting into this apex, right? So we flipped 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times on the 8-day chart, right? So we have 8, 16, 24, 32. There's more, 40 and 48. 56, you're doing great. So that's 10 years working out of school there. So yeah, I think we've had plenty of time consolidating, but also the way it consolidated, right? Because we haven't looked at this. We have not looked at this. We're always looking at it like this, right? And that's what everybody else is doing too. They're looking at the structure. Okay, you got 3 there, you got 3 there, you got 3 there, you got 3 there, you got 5 there, you got 3 there, you got 3. You're trying to plug it together. But sometimes let's just simplify it. Simplify everything and just look at it from a larger perspective, right? When in doubt, zoom out, right? And why it's so that's why I'm very bullish. This is why I think we're going to be breaking up instead of breaking down, right? Now, that doesn't mean in the short term. I'm going to talk about the short term in a minute. But to add to that, the reason why I think we're going to break up, again, we have all of the candles flipping in here. But by taking this here, right? Actually, let's go to the weekly. Okay, so the weekly is there. No, it was the monthly. So when you take the monthly right there, this is another reason why we're bullish, because this is the all-time monthly high close. This is also the retracement level. So basically they're about the same, that $2 area. So as long as we stay above $2, and that's what we're doing, we're consolidating in here, and it hasn't even been that long, right? I mean, we've only had a couple candles, right? Now, and so we would want it to flag out and continue higher, and I think we're definitely capable of doing that because of all the reasons we just stated. Again, we're staying above $2 and we're consolidating. That's what you want. Now, on the flip side, you could say, well, we just had green, we just had red, and now we have green again. So if next week is red and then the following week is green, then I would be concerned, right? Because now we're flipping red, green on the monthly chart, right? Because we're going up, 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 and then we go red, green. That's going to make me think we're coming down, right? But it's okay if it does it a couple times. Like over here, we were going up, 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 up. We had red, green. Or I'm sorry, we had green, red, and then boom, we broke down. Right? Kind of like over here. It's not perfect, but you have red, green. So, or sometimes you get kind of like this, where you flip back and forth. You spike the high and then keep coming down. But it's all relative to where the wave is actually at, right? This was the ultimate red, green right here. You could say we were going up. We had red, or we had green, red, and then green. But since it was able to break out, it only lasted a little while, but then it affected it later on. So, but if you look at the monthly chart, look how tight this is in here. I mean, it's really, really tight. And we were talking about that every day, how bullish this was. It just took forever. But looking back at it, right, we were just having to flag out in here. So looking at it like that, we're doing this kind of the same thing. So we have 1, 2, 3 candles before blast off. So you have the rise, 3 candles, blast off. So you could say the same thing. You have the rise, and now we're on 2 candles, but you can also say the rise ended here. And that if that was part of the flat, then maybe we're already 4 candles into it. That's just this candlestick analysis, just trying to look at it from a different perspective than we're already used to looking at it. So, yeah, so that's kind of how I'm looking at this. You know, to me, we are eventually going to break to the upside. I'm just not convinced that we're doing it as fast as we would like it to. So RSI looks fine. Let's go up to the 10-day chart. So the 10-day chart looks completely different. I don't know if it's definitely not better in a good way, but you could see how we came down, right? Then we came back up. We came back down. We made a higher low, right? But then we had this weird doji candle in here, right? And now this green candle, maybe it's going to test 50% of this wick and then continue down, right? I mean, you can say that. Or we're simply just building a base in here and you have deviations, right? So if the base is long enough, maybe you have a deviation to the downside. A lot of times you get a deviation to the upside, you get deviations to the downside. And then it becomes like a bigger three-wave move. The weekly chart, we had a bearish engulfing weekly candle last week. And this week looks a hell of a lot better, right? So like I said, you have a big candle, red candle down, cut that candle in half, and that's where you go. And that's where we're at right now. So it could be a little bit dangerous in here. Now let's go to the small time frames. And let's take a look at, obviously, we also have, I forgot to mention, the bull market support band, right? So this is another extremely bullish reason, is because we're not only, number one, we have a three-wave move. Number two, we have a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation sideways. Number three, we're going down, and then as we went down, we flipped red, green, red, green, red, green, right? And then another reason is we're doing so, we're wicking off the bull market support band. So XRP is much more bullish than the rest of the market, because the rest of the market has not held the bull market support band. Let's go to total 3. See, we're below the bull market support band. All right, now let's go to Bitcoin. See, we're below the bull market support band. Let's go. Ethereum is definitely below. What about ADA? ADA is also below the bull market support band. You can see ADA also is flipping here. So like you're bumping up against it, like you want to break back above it. I think like if we look at over here, when we broke down it, we couldn't even touch it. We barely touched it here, and then we did the same thing here. But then once we got over here, we were bumping up, and then we finally broke back above it. So let's go back to XRP for a minute. So yeah, XRP is definitely way more bullish than the rest of the market. We're holding above the bull market support band. So, and we're holding above the range, and we're doing this despite the S&P crashing. Because if you were to show me, if I were to go back in time 4 years ago, or 3 years ago, or 2 years ago, or even 1 year ago, and I showed my past self the S&P 500 chart where we're crashing, or it's a big dump, I would have said XRP would have gotten annihilated, right? It would have also crashed, but it didn't. It's still in its range, and that's very surprising. That tells me people are not willing to give up their XRP so easily. So that tells me there's a reason why, because people are optimistic despite all the bearish narratives. And I don't even call it news, it's just narratives. Oh, Trump tariff this, Trump tariff that. But it has nothing to do with it, right? The tariffs aren't even really in effect yet. So how could it be the cause of something if it's not even in full effect, right? It just barely happened. Some of them won't go into effect till April 2nd. So how is it affecting the market? Because people have fear, uncertainty, and doubt, and then also the deep state Trump is trying to fight against. They have their own bad guys, right, trying to bring down and cause. They want to break the toy, right? A kid got a brand new toy, and the other kid is jealous, so the other kid wants to break the toy so that kid can't play with it anymore. And then he wants to blame the kid who was playing with the toy. He wants to blame that he broke it, right? But it's all, why would, you know what I mean? So it's one of those things. All right, let's look at the small time frames. So small time frames, I'm a little bit concerned. I think I'm bearish on the small time frames. Now, don't get me wrong. We've had We're green today. I mean, this is a Saturday. We're green. We're doing good. But can we survive Sunday? Look at XLR up 11%. Can we survive Sunday without total annihilation? Well, I think we're going to get a pullback tomorrow. So, yeah, you definitely don't want to have any trades open on Sunday if they're really leveraged, and if you don't have a big pillow of cushion between you and your stop loss. So, but anyways, when we look at the small time frames, we still have this divergence down here, right? I think it was the 8 hour. Yeah. So we have 8 hour divergence, right? And then plus, again, we were just looking at the 8-day chart. So something is jiving really well with the 8 hour and the 8-day chart. So yeah, we have the divergence, and then also that divergence is happening above the bull market support band. And then also that divergence is also happening at the end of this flat here, right? Because again, most people look at this, they go up, down, up, down, up, down, like it's just ranging, right? But again, the candles on the higher time frames say it kind of reduces the noise a little bit. Yeah, we're still going up and down, but it's really in accumulation and in my reaccumulation. So, but if we turn on the sequential, it looks like we have a 9 right there. So we have a 9 on the 12-hour chart, and that is a sell signal, or at least for a little while, right? So we were going up, 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 right? We had a 9, so we could easily just come all the way back down. Here's the bull market support band right here. So maybe we have to come back down to 220. At this point, we really want to stay above 210. You know, we really want to stay above 210 at this point. So as long as we stay above 210, I think we're doing okay. We had this big, I was liking this three-way pullback, and then it broke the low, and then I had to get out of some of my trades, and I had to de-risk, but then as soon as I did it, look what happened. It came right back up. So I kind of lost out on some of the XRP that I had, and it was pretty painful because I had to let it go, because, you know, it's all about preserving your capital. But notice, as it came down, it barely took the low, right? It's not like it crashed and then came back and retested. It basically had a liquidity grab, right? So let's zoom in a little bit more. We don't need this. And you could see, here's your bull market support band right there, right? You could see, but how many waves do we have? Do we have 5 waves? I would say, yeah, we got 1, 2, all of that's 3, that's 4, and that's 5. Not the greatest looking wave, but it is what it is, right? If this could be an ABC and we can get one more hit, that would be even better, right? We want a nice wave 1. Something we talked about too is maybe we have a little bit of a roundabout, but obviously that didn't happen. Remember, we left off over here, and one of the things I said was maybe this is some kind of like a little bit of a roundabout, and then you kind of go up, similar to what happened back over here. You see that, right? You see that little pump right there? We had a big crash, and you had a little roundabout. See how it kind of shot up in a diag? But then notice even right here, this little wave right at the top. See, you have a head and a shoulders here. This is another reason why not to trust so much. It really depends. And then it looked like, okay, there's the head and shoulders, and then we broke below it, and then, okay, everybody's flipping out, we're going to crash. But then what happened? Bam, we reversed. But notice before that, we were flipping red, green, red, green, red, green, right? And that red, green was part of a three-wave pullback. That was the bottom of the three-wave pullback. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then we had A, B, and then C. So we had a three-wave pullback here, right? Following that little pump, that little hump right there. All right, so let's go back and look at the current price, but we have to zoom in. So there's your dump right here. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I thought this could be, see how it's coming up? Yeah, there's your little bump there, and then you kind of come down, you're gonna go flat and then go up. But we didn't do that. We just kept rocking and rocking and rocking to the up. That's even better. That's the bigger we can get this wave, the better. So we have the divergence. We have 5 waves, right? Now, you could argue that it's not 5 though. You could say that this is like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then like kind of like a 5, 3, 5, some kind of ABC. But I'm not gonna go there. I think it looks good. I think it looks pretty strong for a 5-wave move. So now the question is, do we have to flag out and go higher? Do we have to kind of come back all the way back way down at $2 and then kind of go out, kind of like a little hump, like a little roundabout, like we were just looking at? Or is this a 1, 2, 1, 2 and we're about to die? I mean, that could also be a case, right? Because when Monday morning the stock market opens up, if we get continued selling and selling and selling and selling, it doesn't matter how bullish the structure of the chart looks for XRP. It doesn't matter if it's been holding up this entire time. It could cause significant pressure for it to kind of crack and start to break down. That's why I say it's all about the environment, you know? If we had a normal economy, a normal situation, and we had this structure, it would be super, super bullish. But since and that's what it's all about. It's about FUD, right? And it's really about uncertainty, right? I don't have any doubt in my mind. I don't even have fear. It's all about uncertain. I'm not certain that, it's going to play out the way we imagine it. But what I do know is, so instead of having fear, and you have greed. Instead of having uncertainty, you have confidence, right? Because you're not uncertain, you're confident, right? And instead of having doubt, you have conviction, right? So let's replace FUD with GCC, right? Greed, certainty, and conviction. Or confidence, right? So yeah, I think now let's just wrap it up here. Now you have this move up, right? So now we want to see it flag out, and then we want to see it move back up into this empty space. You see the empty space, right? So the empty space is there and there. See all this empty space up here? Right? So there's really nothing in between here and here except for this. That's why we need to break above 275. Right? So if we can flag out and then get up here, then this becomes the big question mark. Okay, now what? Right? Because we've broken out of the flag. Maybe we pull back a little bit and then continue higher. So yeah, let's see where we pull back to. If we take a retrace level from the bottom here to the top, considering that this is the top, we want to stay above 207, so right around in here. That would be a really good buying opportunity. So if we come back down to 210, 207, I think that's when I should back up the truck a little bit here and go for it, because again, looking at the 8-day chart, I can't get over how nice it looks. It looks beautiful. So let's actually put a proper channel on here. Where are you at? Where's my parallel channel? Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah. So look at that. I mean, that looks nice, right? And then you got your flag right in here too. So, I mean, you can see what happens when you flag out. You break. So we have the test of the bull market support band. We have the stock market potentially going to have some type of relief, right? Because you just don't get a straight line down. You get a relief rally. So as the rest of the market gets relief, that's when XRP can actually break out. All right, so let's go to Theta and let's look around here. And another reason too is when we look at like things like Theta, by the way, you're about to get a 9 on the 10-day chart. That's interesting. Kind of just scouting through here. 2-week chart, 1-month chart, nothing there. All right, let's go back to the 4-day. So you can see we're completely underneath. Look how oversold we are relative to the bull market support band. This is why I'm very bullish on Theta, because look how the bull market support band is 70% away. That's insane, right? The last time it was 70% away, I think was back over here. That was 120% away, right? But it's usually very short-lived. I mean, this one back over here, we were about 65%. And then this one over here, we were approximately 90%. So we're in the realm here, and if I even measure it from the bottom, right, we are about 110% from the wick. So I think that was plenty of downside needed, because if you look at the chart here, you could say that this wave and this wave are basically very similar, right? You got the move, you got this little consolidation here, consolidation, move down, flag out, continue down, little bit of a bump, final flush, let's freaking go. That's the way I think about it. And not only that, but you also have waves of equal length. So if I take a line here, and then I put that same line right there, look at that. We're basically right there. This wave and this wave are identical as far as time, structure, length, right? But not only that, what also is very, very, very bullish is that we have an A, a B, and we have a C, right? This is an A, B, C. So, but yeah, I wanted to do this members video because I wanted to take a different approach. I want to do something a little bit different for you guys. I don't want to say the same, repeat myself, because the market only changes so much, right? And there's only so much to talk about. That's why I wanted to look more so at the candlestick analysis. But also to let you guys know, for you to be the first ones to know that I think we are extremely likely to have bottomed, or if not, very, very, very close to being completely bottomed. There's still not a lot of evidence yet, except how many waves we've already went down. But I'm looking at this here, 1, 2, right? And then I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then I also see 4, and then I see 5. So we have plenty of waves. You can even say a 7-wave crashing structure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, right? but we need to see an impulse. Do we have an impulse here? No, but we do. Do we even have a diag? See, it's kind of too, the wave 3 is too small, and it missed it by a little bit, but let's say it is 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and that is 3, a 3-way pullback. What is it doing now? Maybe this is 3 down, this is 3 up, and then there's just not enough for me to say, yeah, you know, for sure we bottom, because we need more structure, right? I think if XRP has to pull back, like let's look at XRP one more time. Like look, so if XRP has to pull back down, right? So it has this big wave to the upside, right? If it has to come all the way back down in an ABC, which is very, very likely, then that's a big move down. If we're going to get a big move down like that, a pullback, then and we go back to something like Theta, then it's like, well, okay, we don't really have much more down to go, or because we've already been down, right? So you can say, well, if this is 3 waves up, maybe we get 3 waves back down. If we get 3 waves back down, then we're going to need to hold. It's going to be very sketchy, right? We need to hold in here, and then we can get 5 waves back up. Or we need to see some type of evidence, like maybe an ascending triangle, right? Maybe this kind of comes back down, then comes back up, comes back down. Maybe we break out like that. Anything to say, hey, this is not normal, right? Because, you know, you come down, pull back up, pull back up, pull back up, pull back up, right? You can see it all ended up in a crash. So is this just going to be another one of those? I mean, it kind of feels like that in a sense. But I'm not so convinced, right? So, yeah, we have 3 down, we have 3 up. If this comes back down in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 like that, that would be pretty nice, because then you would have kind of like a 3 and then another 3, right? And then you kind of get going here. So if we saw something like that, it would look a lot better. I don't think this low is going to break. I think this is the low. And it's really painful and very difficult for me to say that, because you can't say for certain. So but if I had to use an educated guess, I would have to assume that this would be the bottom in here. If not, then we have one more low. And if that is one more low, then you can say that this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. And then what you would have is a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then all of this is the 5th. So you have basically a 5-wave extended 5th, right? So 1, 2, and then all of that's 3. This is 4, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for 5. And then you get that divergence, and then you kind of go up from there. So I think this is the bottom. Now, we might have, here's the absolute bottom. We might have a little bit more of a bottom, but this should be the bottoming process, right? Because look how far away that bull market support band is. You're going to need some kind of retrace at some point, right? Even if it's like a trend line, back to the trend line, then back down, you know. So I definitely think the local bottom is in, at least for a while. So, because if we look at some candlestick analysis on on Theta, it's really nothing there. But look how many red guys. We've had so many red candles. Red, 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 red. I mean, statistically speaking, there's so many red candles. We didn't even have that many red candles going down the first time. That's because this lets me know that this is a C wave, because a C wave is it's faster and it's more aggressive. And that's exactly what we see with this wave, which means it's faster and it's more aggressive, and it rips the band-aid off quicker, right? So looking at the market now, I see a three-wave pullback. Look how nice this three-way pullback looks. It looks even better than XRP's three-way pullback because it's more simplified, right? If this would have came down and held the top and then came back up like this, then it could be an A, that could be a B, and then we get a C later on. But we got the C already. So plus, let's see, what does the sequential say? Look at that. We're almost on a 9. So basically in next week, we're going to get a 9 on the 10-day. And we haven't had a 9 on the 10-day, at least in a long time. A 9 buy. You can see we had a 9 sell here. We came all the way up. We had a 9 sell. We pulled back. So I would expect the price to get back to this trend line before it breaks this low. I don't think it will break the low, but if it does, I think we would need to tag that trend line first and then break back below. There's also, here's the bottom of our, you can see right there. There we go. Now, we haven't tested this yet. So if we're going to keep crashing, I just don't think so. I think if anything, we would come back up here first. But if we get rejected here, and then we break this low, then I'm not going to like it anymore. I'm going to obviously think it's maybe a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's just an extended wave, but it's just going to seem too big, too big, too bearish. So, but right here, it's in a good spot because you have all of this down in here, right? So that three-wave move, this is a very powerful crash to the downside, and that's what C waves are. So flipping it upside down, it looks absolutely bearish. It looks like you have an impulse, and it looks like you have a three-way pullback, and now it looks like it's just gonna collapse, meaning higher prices, right? $6, $9, $6, $8, or $6, $7, $8, $9, $10 even. So that was it for Theta. Let's look at Bitcoin here. Oh yeah, Bitcoin actually looks pretty good right here. It looks really good. It looks like it's trying to flag out in here. It looks like it could even maybe break it a little bit. Let's look a little closer. Yeah, that looks bullish. Look, you got a little bit of a inverse head and shoulders here. But you got to be careful because all we have is 3. So if this comes up and hits the high, well, guess what? You still have only 3. So, but yeah, for Bitcoin, it's pretty straightforward. We don't have to worry about that range anymore. So there's no guessing involved. But really, what I'm interested in is, do we have to come back and back test the breakout zone? I mean, we're very close. So, I mean, it looks like it's possible, but let's see where we are on the retrace levels here. So if I take a fib level, so we're currently right at the 50. So if we did have to come back down, and that's a really kind of a cool way to do it, trying to figure out where the top is. So if I have like a range right in here, and then we break out of the range, I can figure out the top just by figuring out where the 618 would be So if you can see the 618 lines up really, really nicely with the top of this wave here. So, but we've already had a 50% dump, right? We've had a 50% correction here. So, and if you don't even use the wick, you could say that was maybe a little bit lower. There we go. So yeah, we're right at the 50, and right here's the 618. So yeah, it's possible we can get like a 1, 2, 3, 4, and then like a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for an ending diag for the 5th for the getting back down towards the bottom. So yeah, we have really good divergence on the daily. Not the 2-day though. Or yeah, even the 2-day. We have bullish divergence on the 2-day and the daily. So if here's the problem, if everybody's expecting it, I think a lot of people are wanting it to come down here. But what if we don't? What if it doesn't have to? Like, oh, I'm going to buy it once we get to 70K because we're going to come down and we're going to back test. Well, what if we don't have to, right? Because what if this is complete? Meaning that this is a 1, 2, and then you have all of this is 3, 4, and then 5. The only way it would work is if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we come down and get 5. And then we have 1, 2, 3 points of bullish divergence, and then we kind of get going. So it's going to be either this one or this one. So I'm not completely convinced. Either way, I still think there's some downside to come. I think we need to create a base. If this is the low, I still think we need to come down and create some kind of a base in here. Right? Maybe a Wyckoff base. That would be interesting if we had like a Wyckoff base in here. Kind of hit the high, come back up, and then have like a quick spring, a quick liquidity grab, and then go up like that. That would be an interesting scenario. So, yeah. But any way you look at it, we have a 3-wave pullback, right? And we have 5 waves, and we have divergence. So we need some kind of retrace, maybe before we come down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe we have a bigger 3-wave move where this is 3 down, and then we get 3 up, and then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down, and it becomes a big ABC, and then that's when we back test it on the C leg at a later time. And during this retracement is when we get a big retrace in the altcoins, and then a big extension, hopefully an XRP. Right? That this could be where you want to sell your XRP. If XRP is like $8, $9, $10, right where Bitcoin's right here, that's probably where I'm going to sell. So, or even if only XRP gets to $6, I don't know. I mean, it might not get to $10. What if it only gets to 5 or 6? Look, eventually we're going to hit big numbers, but I'm talking relatively soon. So, because I'm very bullish. Everyone's kind of like, oh, the tariffs and the recession. Yeah, but that's true, and we have those issues, but I think those issues will be resolved because we're not going to have those issues anymore because we're going to transition away from that system, that system that created the problem in the first place. There's going to be a big, great awakening when it comes to the financial system. And what do you think's going to happen when everybody realizes how messed up the financial system is? I mean, people are already aware, but if you're starting to see cracks in big areas of the economy that signal recession, when is the narrative going to come out that it's the Federal Reserve, the central banks? That's what I'm waiting for, because I believe that will definitely happen. Under Trump's term, there's going to be a big thing about the banks and about the Federal Reserve. It's going to happen. So I'm very confident when it comes to that. And during that time, people don't trust the banks, because remember what happened with Cyprus. they had a bail in. And that's another thing too, is if you have big problems in the banking system and you get bail-ins, what do you think people are going to do with their money? They're going to buy crypto, right? So if the current financial system is falling apart and Bitcoin is at a three-way pullback, I mean, it could lead to a major alt season, a major move to the upside. So look at Monero too. Monero beautifully tested the bull market support band. It had a beautiful three-wave move down. So it had three down. So it had an A, B, or actually WXY, WXY. So there's your three down, right? So maybe this is three down, this is three, or this is three up, and that's three back down, WXY. It's a running flat. Back test the bull market support band, create a little bit of a base, and then let's go. I believe that's coming. I really, really believe that's coming. A lot of people are bearish. Even I was a little, I'm bearish too when we're threatening the low, because it's kind of nerve-wracking, you know, because you got a lot of money on the line, and it's like, man, everything I'm looking at is, you know, all the signs. We have a three-way pullback. We have 5 waves in wave C. We have divergence. We're on the bull market support band. We've completed the reaccumulation phase. We spent 3 years in reaccumulation, right? We had a big retrace while the rest of the market was going into a bull run. So everything is adding up for XRP to have a big pop to the upside. And I think an even bigger pop once they realize that the financial system is breaking down and the dollar is dying, right? Let's look at the dollar. DXY. You can see the dollar is crap. If this gets worse, like let's say we come up and we flag out and then it just completely tanks, people are going to go really hardcore into crypto and gold, right? So I think gold is almost to the end. Let's take a look at gold here. So if we look at gold, I mean, we pretty much have a 5-wave move here. 1, A, B, C, 2, 3, 4, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe one more little high coming up soon. Or no, that was actually the smaller. Yeah, that's the 5th wave. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But even when we zoom out, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And that is kind of like Bitcoin in a way, where Bitcoin had to pull back and back test, but gold did not, right? But look at this 3-way pullback. This is why you can't tell me Elliott wave doesn't work. Look at that beautiful 3-way pullback, right? So look at that. And then you come up, and then look what happens. You flag out at the top, and then boom, you break it. And that's exactly what we want to look for when it comes to crypto. But in order for crypto to really prevail, you're gonna need you're gonna need gold to kind of chill out a little bit here. So, and I think that's coming too. Because again, when you look at the stock market is also creating a 3-wave pullback. If you notice, look at the 3-wave move. See, Trump wants everything to be better, but you have to sort of fix that current system. And I think, like he said, there's going to be a lot of bumps along the way. But by having a big dump in the market, and then you also couple that with a 3-wave pullback, because we're going up, 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 and then you get a 3-wave pullback, and there's fear, 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 tariff, 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 crash, crash, crash. This is a bullish setup for a short squeeze, where people get squeezed and then it ends up coming back really fast in a retrace. And once we get to the retrace levels, then what? Maybe we get 3 back down and then we go for it. Or if this is 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we get 5, then we would expect 3, then 5 later, then a big move, right? Because he wants to disassociate himself with Joe Biden's run. And I don't think Trump really minds that the market is coming down. even though that they're trying to blame him for it. I don't think that's the case. I think there's a lot more to it than that, and we'll talk about that too on another video. But I think that'll do it for this video. And then if you look at others, to me it looks like a nice running flat, right? You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got an A, you got a B, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then it looks like 5 for a C, right? So you have this beautiful running flat. So what do we need to do? Here's your base right here. We need to hold. So here's your first base. We need to create a second base on top of the base over here, and that would build that platform to break upon, to break it later on. So because we need to build upon this over here, right? And do we have divergence? Why does it always go to the bottom or the top? Yes, no. Do we? Wait. A little bit. On the daily. Yeah, you got it there on the daily. So, but even others is looking, and this is all the altcoins, right? So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It looks like you have an ending diag for a fifth wave. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I mean, come on. I mean, all the guys, it's like you want to be bearish because of what's happening, what you see, but when I look at the facts and the charts, I'm thinking bullish. And maybe I'm wrong, but this is not financial advice. I could be wrong. But everything's kind of saying, hey, we should be getting very close to a local bottom. At least let's get a bounce. And then once we get up here, then we can say, okay, maybe we have more to go, right? But I think in the meantime, we've been falling quite enough. If you look at Ethereum, everybody's bearish on Ethereum. I'm not sure why, because now, look, you're right at support down in here. There's a lot of support right in here. A lot of support. So you have over a year of support. And if we zoom out, yeah, so Ethereum's a little bit more tricky because it's definitely a little more bearish, but yeah, this is a C wave because you have boom, boom, and boom. And you want 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So I think Ethereum is Ethereum has been overvalued for a while, but I think it's undervalued in the short term. So I could see 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And did that 2 break above the 1? No, it didn't. So we're good. We are good. The only thing is this going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for the 5th? That's the only thing we don't really know. But if it is, and we got a really strong reaction off of it, that would be a really good sign. So let's see how that plays out. So yeah, I'm gonna make this a members video. Definitely, let's look at H bar, but I'm probably going to maybe not. I was gonna say let the members see it first. 24 hours later, I can release it to everybody else, but maybe I'll just do a different video. I'm not sure. But H bar, definitely on the weaker side. Definitely on the weaker side. Than the rest of the than what it's been used to, right? Let me see on the 8-day here. Yeah, definitely more crashy instead of rangy. I still like the flat. You got a nice three-way move. I'm just not sure what this is. It's a 1-2, right? So if this, you know, if this wasn't here, if all of this wasn't here, like get rid of that and just have it like this, where you have the move down, right? You have the divergence, and then you kind of just go sideways in here, build that base. That would actually be very bullish. But since you had this move up and then back down, it's kind of like, I don't know. But I'm gonna say it's not even there because of course we had that Trump news and all that. So I think that played a role. Because if you look at the trend line, it's perfect, except for up there. So, what else could this be here? Yeah, I mean, you got 3 up, you got 3 down. So, and you're right here at support. So it's all about building layers of support and building off of those. Now, could we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? Yeah, we could. We could. And then this would be kind of like 1, 2, 3. All of this would be 4, and then you get 5. And I don't really like that. It would make more sense if this was 3, this was 3, and then this was 3. But that doesn't make sense either because it's not big enough. So, are we flagging out down here? That's the thing. Or is this kind of like a triangle, maybe? A, B, C, D, E. We'll see. We'll have to come back to that one. There's not enough information. All right, let's look at. Let's see here. XRP versus Bitcoin is probably going to look even better. Oh man, yeah, XRP versus Bitcoin looks like it's. See, this doesn't look like a head and shoulders, right? I mean, you got all these waves in there, so yeah, it looks more like a 1-2-1-2 here. And look at the perfect back test of the bull market support band. All right, SHIB. I like SHIB. Just the same thing as it's basically literally the same as Theta. Like literally the same type of structure as Theta. Near. So look at near. Near has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, guys, I think that this is what makes me excited. Man, you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get 3 waves up. There's your B. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for your C. Divergence. Build a little bit of a base, and then let's go. I think we're there. I think we're very, very, very close to getting there. Looks pretty good. It looks like a diagonal 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But I really want it to flag out. I want it to come down so I can buy it, and then I want it to go up. I don't really want to buy it right here. Maybe we get 3 and then 3 and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Maybe let's get a bigger move down. Trump. This looks like it could be a 1, 2, 3. Maybe we're getting a 4 here and then maybe a 5. I'm really, because I just don't trust it because it's the weekend. You know, I don't really trust it. But look at this. You got a little bit of a 3-way move there. Just not really trusting it. ADA. Maybe we're doing some kind of ascending triangle. That looks pretty good. And then we can break out and get a retrace. I think we're gonna get a retrace. I've always said that. Unless this is a fourth one, unless this is 1, 2, 3, and this is 4, we get our retrace, we go up, 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 and then we get 5. That's unfortunate, but that's definitely a possibility. So hopefully not. Litecoin, 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Litecoin. So I think we're right there. I think we're good. So Litecoin looks really good. It's got that 3-wave pullback. You got 5 waves in here. So we're starting to move up. Now, here's the scary part. It could just go up quickly and it won't let you in. Or it can give you a nice spike and then pull all the way back and then go up like that. So let's see. Yeah, there's no examples over there, but there you go. Like kind of how this was just flat for a little while and then spikes up, right? XLM looks like a falling wedge. Or this looks like the most bullish. This looks like a very massive flag. Looks like a big bull flag to me. Look at that. Or a falling wedge. And you got 3 waves. Actually, 3 waves down. There you go. So maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're getting 5. Yeah, that looks like a nice falling wedge. So if we can kind of play around, break out, back test, and then get back up here, that's what I think. That's what I'm thinking. Dog had a nice little bounce. Look at Dog. See, now Dog looks more, it has a better shape now. You have an impulse, A, B, C. You have a nice flat in here. Look at that. Perfect range. You got a lot of structure now. You got a rise, crash, retrace, reaccumulation. Maybe we go sideways a little bit and then break out. I mean, you got everything you need. Axelar. Same thing with Axelar. You have a 3-wave move down. I don't like the proportions of it, but it is what it is. Monero, we looked at it. ADA. What about Filecoin? See, Filecoin also has 5 waves down, right? And it's kind of, I mean, are we going to get 7 though? That's the thing. Like a 7-wave crashing structure, kind of like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then kind of get a 6, and then one more 7, and then get one more little low. I don't know if the stock market. Here's the problem though. Everything looks good. You got 5-wave moves, 3-wave pullbacks. The structure looks good. It looks like it's due for a big bounce. The problem though is, like, what is the deep state doing? Are they going to pull the plug on the stock market? Are they going to do something? Are they going to cause a false flag? Are they going to cause a black swan event? That's the concern, right? And then if so, then Trump will use it to its advantage and flip it on them. But let's see, Matic. Matic is the one I'm really, really interested in, because Matic looks to me like capitulation. So that's why I'm very interested in Matic. So, yeah, Matic looks like this has been flagging out for years. I mean, look how big this thing is. This thing has been flagging out literally for years. So it topped in 21. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 4 years, right? So 4-year cycle. What about that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You got a 3, 3, 5. You got an ABC, right? And you're in a flag. And you had 5 waves in here. So what does the small time frames look like? Yeah, that looks bullish to me. That definitely looks bullish. Let's look a little bit closer. See, I like those wicks that come in here. Those nice little wicks. I'm just not sure what it's doing here. Like, I'd rather it come down like this. So you get an impulse, and then you get a three-way pullback, and that would be a good buy right there. Go. But anyway, this video's gone on way too long. But I wanted to give members, I appreciate you guys, appreciate you supporting the channel. Really, really, really do. I try my hardest to figure out what's going on and give it to you straight. I don't always have the answer. This is not financial advice. I could be always wrong. I could be wrong, right? But at the end of the day, we have to go by what we see, and what I see is looking a lot better than previously. Look at this. You got boom, boom, and then you have 1, 2, you have 3, 4, and then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for wave C. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So everything's kind of saying, hey, we're getting really close to it bottoming here. And then not only that, look at your base. Here's your base down here. Look at all that support. You have a lot of support down here. You shoot all the way up, you break the top, and then you come all the way back down. Now you're holding support. We're going to hold, right? So we can look at this maybe like a flat. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe that's what it is. Instead of a fifth wave, maybe we have a big flat here, right? So there's your move there. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A wave 1. Boom, boom, boom. Maybe this whole thing is a wave 2, and we're about to go up into a wave 3. And that's kind of what I'm thinking, based off of how it looks. Because before you could say, okay, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It just doesn't look right. It's not right. Or you can say that this is an A, B, C. All we have is a three-way move, by the way. So what if we get 3 waves back down? I just don't think so. I think we're creating support. You break out, you come down, you back test. You break out, you come down, now you're building support here. So this support, we're retesting it. What about algo? That's why I look at a lot of charts. That's why it takes a long time, because we're trying to get GCC. Maybe that'll be a thing. Greed, certainty, and conviction, as opposed to fear, uncertainty, and doubt. Yeah, algo looks great. You got 5A, you got 3B, and then you got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you got it looks like 5. So 1, 2, no. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So are we gonna get 7 though? Like for example, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Or no, I'm sorry. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for the 5th, because this is the 5th wave, right? So that's what we don't know. That's what I really don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Now, if XRP, I believe we are going to get a pullback though. XRP is going to come down. I don't think XRP is just going to go like that. I really don't think so. If it is, hey, I'll be great. I'll be happy. But what I think is happening here, I think this is the one. I think we're going to have to come all the way back down. XRP is going to have to come all the way back down and set a higher low. And doing so, maybe you get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So maybe XRP has a higher low, because look at the difference in the waves here. Look how strong that looks, but look how weak that looks. So maybe the low isn't completely in with some of these charts. So if XRP has a higher low, then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then maybe we get 5, and then that's our low, right? So we could have another low, but I think we're getting really close for it to be almost complete. If you kind of match them both up side by side, you can kind of see the difference. So I ICP also has 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So all these charts we've been looking at, we've looked at a lot of charts. They all look like 5 waves to me. You got an impulse, you got a 3-wave pullback. A, B, C. And in wave C, you have 5 waves. Okay? So, at the very least, we should get another 3 waves back up, right? You know, some kind of 3-way move back up. So I think this is it. I think this should be the bottom right in this area. Go sideways and then start making your retrace. That's what I believe. That's how I'm looking at it. Now, if I'm wrong, I'll be the first to let you know. But as far as I see it now, I think we're really, really close. So anyways, that'll do it for this video. I appreciate everybody for tuning in. Bitcoin dominance is still hanging out there. Theta Fuel, real quick, Theta Fuel. Also 5 waves. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. A, B, C. You got an impulse. You got a 3-way pullback. There's nothing wrong with... Oh, that's AVAX. Okay. AVAX is the same thing. But also Theta Fuel, same thing. You got a 3-way pullback. Looks good to me. So... anyways, I will catch you guys on the next one. Again, not financial advice, and I appreciate all the member support, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Cheers.